Okay, so I've got this satellite image open in 6 maps showing the Mudgee Library building there with the red flag on it. And so I've got it zoomed, you can see to the scale there, 1 to 2,257. Not that that means very much, but just so you know there, that's the scale I've got now. And so I'm going to capture that, and maybe I'll just go through a few ways that you can do that if you want to do your own capture. You can always do a screen capture using either the shortcut with the print screen button on your keyboard and the control key sometimes will help there to make it pick up the active window. That's what it does. And so I've just done that shortcut, and then if I open up Photoshop, which I can't see, oh yeah it is, and so I can paste it in now from the clipboard. So that's always a good option, but I will show you a few others because there are better ways now. This will always work as long as you have a program to paste it into, because that print screen option to capture the screen works on any PC without any extra software. So now if I go and make a new file in Photoshop just by choosing new from the file menu, what you should see is that it's got clipboard as the starting size. And that's a good way of knowing if it's worked or not. So if you see that option, then you know it's captured the screen.
So how do you print the screen?
Just Control and then the print screen button on the keyboard, which is above Insert, next to F12. Yeah. So now, because I've captured the screen, I can go and put it on the clipboard. Now I can go Edit, Paste, and it's brought in exactly what was on the screen. So that will always work. It's good to know that method. But like I said, now with the new tools you've got, there are easier, better ways. So one you probably all should know about as well is the snipping tool, SNIP. And you should have that in Windows usually these days. So with the snipping tool, you don't even need to use Photoshop. You can just click New and then click the area that you want, and then it'll automatically create a file that you can save. So I've done one previously, but I'll just save another one for you. So I'll call this satellite site locale or locality. And then there's another method. In 6 maps, you can save images, and I think I showed you this before when we had a look at this before, earlier. So again, if you use that print PDF tool, you can save a PDF directly. But I won't do that because it's actually more work to do it that way than it is just to capture the screen. So I've got it zoomed out, and now I'm going to zoom in and get a closer view. Still a bit further out than the one we got, I don't remember if it was last week or the week before. So again, now I'll use the snipping tool. And so I'm going to make this site part A. And then I'm going to pan and bring that up and then capture it again. and make this site part B. So you should be able to get to all these files now on the P drive.
What do you mean site A exactly?
Oh, so they're just, I'll just show you. So this is obviously part B, and then part A was that. So I can get above and below. Just because, like this. Just because with the site analysis, you'd probably want to see what's on this block that's opposite the library, as well as what's on the block that the library's on. So it's just good to have both of those things ready to use in Revit. So I'll go through now scaling all of those, or inserting them and then scaling them in Revit. So I'll go to the site floor plan in Revit first, but then before I insert my images, I'm going to duplicate that site plan just by right-clicking on the view name, and I'll go to duplicate view and duplicate here. I don't have any detailing anyway, so it wouldn't really matter if I chose with detailing, but because I don't have to, I'll just choose duplicate, just so you can see that it's fine to use duplicate sometimes. And then I'll rename that view again just by right clicking and going to rename, and I'll call that site locality. That should do for now. And then I'm going to insert the image. So under the Insert tab, you can click Image. Browse to that folder on the P drive, to Design, CAD4, Mudgee Library, and there are all of the satellite images, hopefully. Let's get there we are, the one called Mudgee Library Satellite Site Locality. And then double click, and I'm just going to click anywhere to place it. Doesn't matter where, because it won't be the right size, so I'll have to scale that afterwards. So I brought it in, and now we need to scale it.
Oh, we need to rotate it too.
Exactly, yeah, that's right. So we've got to do those two things, and then we can move it into position. So the first place to look for the scale is the scale bar. So make sure when you're capturing or saving satellite views that you keep the scale bar. That's your really best reference for size. So you'll probably be amazed if you haven't seen scaling with Revit before, how much easier it will seem to you than AutoCAD, even though really it is doing the same thing as AutoCAD. So I've got the image selected, and I'm going to do this a few times, so don't worry if you miss it, but I'll try and go slowly. So again, with the image selected, now I'm going to click the scale button, and then I'm going to click on one side of that scale bar, and then the other side, zooming in if necessary to make it more accurate if you can't get right on the edge. Then you simply need to type in the length it should be, which is 60 metres. We can see there, so 60,000 millimetres. That's what I've typed. Enter, and now to test that that's now the right size, I'm going to use the tape measure and measure that scale bar. And I can see that it is basically 60 metres. So I'm reading the measurement up here. 60 metres, 160 mil. At this scale, 160 mil is nothing. So that's right. Another good visual cue though is the library building itself. So we can see visually what we've drawn there, setting out the boundary with the reference planes especially, is basically the same size as the building you can see here. So just press escape to deselect, and now I can select the image again and drag that roughly into position. But of course we need to rotate this as well. So the building, obviously you can see there is at right angles to our, really to our page. And so now with that image selected, I want to rotate the building so it's facing the same way. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so that I can see where the centre of the image is. And then while it's still selected, I'm going to click rotate. And you can see then that base point comes up in the middle of the image. So I'm going to now drag that base point onto the corner of the building that I can see on the satellite image. Just trying to find something, not really necessarily on the exact corner, but really looking for something that has a straight edge. And even the roof there could work well because we can see a straight line there. But I should be able to get it from the wall. So I'm going to use the wall there, that corner. And then I'm going to bring the reference line in line with the edge of the building there. So that's my base angle. And now I'm going to bring that angle around so that it's horizontal or 0 degrees.
How do you get to choose where the rotated bit comes from?
Oh, the base point? Yeah, so that comes up when you click rotate. So I'll just click rotate again.
And mine comes up right in the middle of the picture.
It does, so then you can drag it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it should look something like this. But remember, you can always find where true north is because that'll be parallel with the edge of your image. So that's true north. Even though we don't have a north arrow probably on that satellite image. So that's probably close enough. You can see there that even though it's a little bit skewed, it's as close as it needs to be at that resolution. It's not going to matter if I have it slightly off. So now to position that a little bit better, I'll click the move button and then pick it up on the corner and then snap to the corner there. Have I got it the right way around? Yes, I think I do. Yep. So it's not perfect, but it's good enough at this zoom or this level of detail. Because we're using this image mainly for those big things like the main roads, maybe the river, those things that you might want to show mainly on the locality drawing. So then I'm going to repeat the process with the satellite image as a different scale. So I'll give you a chance to see all those steps again. So I will maybe just duplicate this view now. So again, just right clicking there, duplicate view, and this time I'll just choose duplicate, not duplicate with detailing. And you can see there it's giving me a copy without the image because the image is considered detailing. So that's a handy way of copying it without the image. And then I'll rename this view and call it site. Well, it's going to be the basis for the analysis drawing, so site analysis. We might have several site analysis views in the end, but can always change the names later. So again, I'm going to click image and basically repeat the process, but this time the image will be scaled by a different amount because it's zoomed in more, it's showing more detail. So I'll start with the Mudgee Library satellite site part A. So again, just clicking almost anywhere to place it. And then zooming in to find the scale. This time it's obviously a smaller measurement because it's, again, zoomed in more. So still though, with the image still selected, I can click scale. Click the base point on the left-hand side. Second point on the right of that scale bar. and then type in the measurement it should be, which this time is again 30, so 30,000. And then again, maybe zooming in just to see the building, but also making sure I can see the centre of the image. And while it's still selected, I'll click rotate, click and drag to put that on the corner there. This time it's much easier to see the edge of the building. And then again, snapping to the, or just trying to click along, a point along the edge of that building as the basis for that reference angle, or the line. And then coming around again, so it snaps to horizontal or 0 degrees. And then again clicking move to pick that up and place it. That was the first one I did. So yeah, it was. Yeah, site locality, and now I'm doing part A. So I'm going to repeat that now in the same view. So I want the part B image to be the same scale. So I could repeat the process exactly, but I'm going to show you a trick that should give me exactly the same scale without me having to use the scale tool. So I'll show you that. So again, just clicking image first to bring in the second one, part B, Mudgee Library Satellite part B. And so again, just click anywhere to place it. So this time to scale it, I'm not going to use the scale tool. I'm going to select the one that the image I've scaled already, and then have a look to see in properties the width and the height. So I can see the width there is, what's the figure? 380,000 millimetres, 443. So I'm going to select that number and then use the shortcut Control-C on the keyboard to copy that number, and then I'll select my new image, select the width there, and then Control-V to paste that figure in as my new width. Enter or apply, and there we are. So that's scaled by the same amount as the previous image. And so now I can rotate it. Again, I can use the same method I used before, but since it should be at the same angle, I'm going to try and rotate it to line up with the previous one. Maybe just by moving it, I can snap to the corner there. So using the move tool, pick it up on the endpoint, and I can snap that now to the endpoint of the other image. And then now I can click rotate and drag the base point onto that same endpoint, snap to the corner or the edge of the image that I'm rotating, and then bring that around to line up with my other image. So that should be good practice for you using the move and the rotate tool as well. And then now I can drag those until they line up. And I would just do this by eye. So you can see there, eventually they should blend in pretty well. What have I got wrong there? Oh, that's I've gone too far. So using the roof here as a guide should work pretty well. Yeah, perfect. I think pretty good. Well, we can use some of the other options maybe to make this look better. So I can still see the things from the browser window there. So I'll just use send to back there to put that under the other image, which makes it read a bit better. So now I've got a nice, fairly detailed but large area around the building. But then, of course, the locality plan shows a bit more. So I'll give you some time to try those things, and then we can have a look at some maybe tools that you can use to draw some of the elements that you might want for your site analysis, and then hopefully we can get on to the things you need for the assignment for this subject, which is your area plans and massing tools.